a second from Supervisor Jorgensen. Any further discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
No old business. We will move on to reports. Volunteer Fire Company.
Hello, I was tasked to fill in for Ed Banks. Albert Cohan. Nothing to add to our report unless there are questions.
Okay. And you're taking care of EMS too, I suppose, or at least you, they're not here,
Only
right?
called upon, but I don't have anything to report for that.
All right, thank you, sir. All right, move on, Chief of Police.
Nothing further to add to the monthly report.
Thank you, Steve. Code,
Nothing further to add, Mayor.
engineer.
What happened to the public works superintendent?
Well,
He's not
I'm
here
sorry,
this
Larry
evening.
is not here, my apologies. Yes, I
I-
just looked down to the right.
I gave a pass for this evening.
I'm just messing with you.
All right.
Thank you,
Okay,
Mayor.
Mr. Slagle.
So everybody has a copy of my engineer's report in green, and actually I was asked why it was green, and the response, of course, is that there's been so much rainfall that everything is green at this point. So, happy June. So hopping into the, my engineer's report, so for development proposals at the next planning commission, which by the way will be June 25th, if anybody wants to attend, will be the Vento subdivision of property, which is along Red Maple Lane. As far as the status of the courtyard at Hidden Falls, of course, that project is 100% built out at this particular point. There is some modifications that we're gonna be making to the road system to make it even better. Supervisor Newman brought to my attention that some trees have been planted. And that once the developer approaches the township to take that over, that's when we will prepare what's called a letter of final matters, and we will address that situation at that time.
Yeah, that came out of Fox, I guess Fox Chapel Trail Group planted
Yes.
that, and Brett Schultz blew me in, and Kevin, so I guess they're working that out on that end, but I just wanted to alert you to make sure we came to retention on issues, and we're still all good on that regard.
I appreciate that, thank you. And on to the Harwood Meadows Phase 4, that project is about 90% built out with our building permits at that point. And we still obviously have all of our bonding in place. Now, the developer has approached us as of yesterday to inform us that they are now proceeding into Phase 5. The developer's agreement has been prepared by the solicitor and has been executed. All the bonds have been secured with the exception of the impact fee, which I'm assuming will be coming probably the day or the after. If you're up there, you'll see that they're stripping topsoil, and over at Phase 4, they're putting in sidewalks. So they're kind of getting close to that one there. On Foxwood Trails, nothing to report. On the Blue Run Road, PRD, of course, all the clearing and grubbing has been done at this point, and the developer is proceeding now into the grading of the property, which will establish the housing pads for the final set of the plans, and we are overseeing that work. On the Frederick Farms PRD, that plan was approved by the township on April 8th, and the solicitor and myself are currently putting together the developer's agreement and the bonding for that particular plan. Indian
Is there an kind of one that's gonna break ground there?
Fredericks? The way they sounded it, they wanted to be constructing right now. But I have not seen a response from the developer's agreement, so until the township is protected, it's probably gonna be more like September, I think.
Yeah, they are talking to the same developers doing Phase 4 to 5 of Harwood. And if that's the case, he probably won't be able to do that until he completes Phase 5.
So Indiana Trails, I haven't heard anything more on the Harmony site plan. A civil complaint has been filed by the solicitor on that particular topic. On Forest View, I did contact the developer to see when we're gonna get into those detention basins, nothing's happening. Ottawa Hills, again, I gotta meet with Larry and Dan. MS4, not until September 28th. Do we need to submit that annual report? On the, we've already talked about the zoning ordinance PRD update. On the salt shed, I have for the supervisor's consideration the final estimate to Pangea Landscape and Construction in the amount of $67,920. All the closeout documents, maintenance bond, and all those things have been submitted. and that's later on your agenda under item number B, 11B. On the Peoples Gas Road Opening Permit, you would think that they, it's like a bunch of a group invading the township, but right now we have 5 road opening permits with Peoples Natural Gas all over the place. And, of course, the object is to improve the service to the township residents by replacing or upgrading all of your gas mains. Because, what's happening is that they're going from a 5 PSI pressure system to a 40 PSI pressure system. And with that requires all the new gas lines and things of that nature. And by the way, they're also looking at all of your, like sewer connections and things like that, so to make sure that nobody drilled through any of your laterals and things like that, so that what happened in Moon and Plum and a couple other areas does not happen here. Moving on to the Emerald Park Access Project.
Just real quick, are they gonna repave the roads?
So as required by the township ordinances, yes, they have to not only repave the roads, but they have to mill and pave 10 feet in each direction of whatever they build. Because,
So the full lane restoration will have to be done.
pretty much.
Yeah, I was gonna say, cause they're going
Up one side and down the other.
Yeah,
And the timing is terrible with the traffic that we have right now, because
Now, you're talking about Church,
Yes.
Yeah, it's a state, but they're talking about paving that whole road as well.
right, so that's gonna be whatever the state requires, that's out
the
of my
state
control.
requires full lane restoration.
So we're at a point in life where we're tired of people doing quote work, what I would say, these little 4x4 patches everywhere. So that day is over. The Township Community Center roof replacement project, we've now awarded that to SN Industries, and they'll be starting here probably in the next 2 months. On the ADA access project, the manager and I are gonna be working on getting that spec out for bid. The paving project, we issued the notice to proceed today, as we did with the Shot and Chip project and the guide rail project, so all those are out to the races. On the Broza Community Center roof replacement, I'm still designing that. The Turnpike shooting range, so.
Well, let's not call it the Turnpike shooting range, it's the police shooting range along the Turnpike.
You know, that was too many words, I had to be like 10 words or less, so I had to.
How about the municipal?
So there was a
Like,
shooting
like,
along the turnpike, and I don't know. But anyways, we're
Interesting business.
working with the township to improve the shooting range for the police. The other one that I didn't mention is the Middle Road I&I project, which is required by consent order, because that small section is a part of the Alcoasand system, believe that or not. Since Alcoasand is way down the Ohio River, but we did kind of get trapped into that, so but we have, as a result of the last rainstorms that we have meters in that's measuring all the sewage, and we have isolated where the problem child is. So we're gonna be looking to fix that.
Where is it?
The problem child?
Yeah.
behind the townhouses at the top of Birchville.
So say it's a secret. Yes, he's exactly correct. So we're gonna be correcting that situation. That concludes my report, sir.
All right, thank you, Dan.
One last question, getting back to the paving project, these, 12 roads, have you run those by Peoples?
So, in cooperation with our utility, they have agreed, and we incorporated into your paving program, certain sections that we will be overlaying and milling what they've done. And they're gonna reimburse the township, obviously, in accordance with our unit prices. Because we're bidding out basically almost $1 million project, our prices are better than theirs. So it's a cooperative effort that we've done in the past. With
And
them.
yes, they do know what we are paving and the
Yeah.
schedule.
But they're not gonna be coming in through next year, the year after.
Correct,
to get back out.
that's how this has come about, they try to do those in advance of us paving, so that's why this is happening, because that's what we've tried to achieve. Doesn't work all the time, but
Yeah. But you got at least ask.
we
so.
coordinate it with all the utilities the best we can.
Okay, well done, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dan, for that report. We'll move on to the solicitor, Mr. Furman.
Thank you, Mayor, I do not have a report.
All right, Dan, manager.
I have nothing to add at this time, Mayor.
Anybody here from Parks and Recs? I don't believe so. do it. Historical is a no, so we'll move on to supervisors. District 1,
Nothing for District 1.
District 2.
The only comment I have is that, everybody knows with these storms and everything, we've had a lot of trees down and, power outages and so forth. And I'd like to commend all the people that are working to correct this. Our folks are responding as quickly as they can, and the power companies and so forth are. But you know, they can only fix one line at a time, so sometimes patience is required. But I think they're doing a heck of a job getting this stuff cleared. Now, I've had a couple of comments where when they have a tree down, they cut it right just about close to the road, but that's so that the road will be cleared, and they might deal with it later on, but we can't cut anything on private property. And folks don't understand that if the tree falls, we can cut the part off on our property, but we can't touch something on private property. So, again, thanks for all the work that they do. That concludes my.
Okay, thank you, Supervisor Khan. All right, District 4,
Nothing to report.
District 5.
So just to piggyback on what I was talking about, when we were here last month, we had a lot of discussion about the storm impact. I attended the hearing that Representative Steele had with other members of the state legislature. They talked to Duquesne Light. One of the big issues that people were upset a little bit about was the fact that there wasn't as much coordination between what our first responders and what our public works people would have maybe wanted, not just ours, but throughout, to just have somebody to talk to from Duquesne Light, an actual person that is a point person. So got that information back to Representative Steele. She's working to hopefully get our first responders and our public works and Dan, somebody who's a dedicated liaison from the company, somebody who they know they can call.
We have in the past had government
Yeah.
affairs liaisons from Duquesne Light, but I haven't seen somebody with that title.
Yeah, it seemed to have fallen off.
Yes,
Some people have said
for
before.
years.
So like a lot of people don't realize that tree comes down and it's tangled in electrical wires. You know, Larry, Public Works can't touch that until Duquesne Light gets there, but hopefully if we get this liaison, we can coordinate, get the roads cleared quicker, and then worry about getting your lights on later. So stay tuned, hopefully something good comes out, something that wasn't great in April. That's it.
Thank you, John. All right, and District 3 for myself, I would just like to give Steve and your crew a shout out. You know, kids are out of school. I've been seeing more visibility with police cars, so thank you for that. You know, we always discuss speeding, and certainly that always rears its ugly head now more than ever now that kids are out of school. So thanks for the extra visibility, and certainly in the neighboring municipalities, I'm seeing that more too. Just kids are out running around playing, running motorized bikes and cars, so I appreciate taking the extra effort. And that's all I have.
I'll make a motion to accept the foregoing reports.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Supervisor Khan, a second by Supervisor Newman. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
Yes, ma'am, we have two pieces of correspondence. The first being Range Resources, notification of the James Street well bore modification. And the second is simply a thank you from the American Legion Post 593 for our annual contribution that was made. That's all we have.
And Dan, just so people know, the Range Resources in Fraser Township.
This one, the
Yeah.
James Street, yeah.
Yeah, they have to let us know
Yeah.
about another township.
Yeah, was it last month was Alito, the Westier, and,
Yeah.
and they're
It's
required
not in.
notifications. And I typically keep them, I try to always put them on the agenda under correspondence, so we have a record of having, made people aware that we received those notifications.
Just want people to know it's not
Yeah.
in Indiana Township. They probably know, but.
I should note that one.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, we'll leave correspondence and we'll move on to new business. First item.
Well, the first item, Mayor, is the possible approval of the North Hills Cog Morton Salt Articles of Agreement for option year 1 for the $88.01 a ton. This is our option year with the current provider through the North Hills Cog, and that is a better price than anybody who's recently bid out their salt. So that's why I would ask for your approval. of that option year agreement.
I'll make a motion to approve, or for approval of the NHCOG Morton Salt agreement at the rate of $88.01 per ton.
Second?
Okay, we have a motion by Supervisor Khan, a second by Supervisor Hertwick. Is there any further discussion on the motion? All those in favor respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
The next, Mayor, and as covered by the engineer under his report, is the possible approval of final estimate for the salt shed project in the amount of $67,920.
What's the board's pleasure?
I'll make a motion to approve the final estimate in the amount stated by the township manager for the salt shed project.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Supervisor Khan, a second by Supervisor Newman. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Motion passes unanimously.
Now, we can fill up the salt shed with salt.
Excellent, yeah, at a cheap price.
Yeah. And possible adoption then of ordinance number 404, revising the PRD section of the Township zoning ordinance number 368. This is this is what we had the public hearing on, and I don't know that you've heard anything from the public hearing that warrants you're considering any further changes, so you're able to act on that tonight if you'd like.
I would like to act on that, but I'd just like to say a word since it's been a long process, and I do want to say thank you to everyone on the Plan Commission, Dan, and I had to sit through a bunch of rewrites, and Irv and his team, but also my whole district. I know District 5 showed up and talked to the Plan Commission. The Plan Commission listened to many months of going back and forth, and like Andrew said, public hearing, it is a compromise. We don't always get everything we want, but you know, we shouldn't. It's a deliberation process. We're all here, and it is rare to compromise, but I think what we were worked on in District 5 is a law that allow for development that everybody hates. And I think we got to a point here where not everybody's gonna love what could come out of this, but we're not gonna get any development that I think everybody hates and divides our community and gets us so worked up. So I think we worked really hard, and I'm really happy that we got to this point, and gives you a little faith in local government collaboration. So thank you to everybody that made it happen.
John, do I take that as a motion?
I'll take that as,
I
I'll
just wanna
make
be
a
sure.
motion for
Okay.
the possible adoption of ordinance number 404, revising the PRD section of Township zoning ordinance number 368.
Can we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by Supervisor Newman, a second by Supervisor Hertwick. Any further discussion?
Yeah, I'd like to make a comment, parroting what John said. This has been a long process, but it just shows that when people participate, we can get pretty much what we're looking for. Not exactly what we're looking for, but we can compromise and make something work. The Planning Commission, we've sent it back a couple of times for them to look at certain things, specifically us noting certain things to be looked at. The process worked, and it worked because citizens were able to speak, tell the Planning Commission what they wanted or what their feelings were and so forth, and that was taken into consideration when these this final ordinance has come out. And I just you said it's unusual that we have compromise, but compromise is what government's supposed to be all about. One guy can't get everything they want, and another guy can't just be denied what they want. So when you work together, there's an old saying that true compromise means everybody, or nobody's happy, but everybody's satisfied. So I thank everybody that participated in this, and I think it's a worthwhile effort, and we've come out with a change to our PRD ordinance that we can all live with, and it'll make this community stronger. Thank you.
Go ahead.
I also just wanted to say, just from watching some of those meetings over the years through the Planning Commission, that I'm just really impressed with a lot of the folks that we have, that a lot of them are here in the room tonight, have taken on municipal law as a hobby and came and showed up and really learned quite a lot along the way and engaged with our planning commission, who was, I'm really grateful for all of the work and the time that they had spent as well. So thank you to all of you folks who have come and shared your ideas and your knowledge as well.
Thank you, Sarah.
And I'll say ditto, so I don't have to repeat everything that's been said already. But I do wanna go over, because there were some people here that were not part of the public meeting, just to go over some of the highlights of the changes, because these have been substantial and significant. You heard that we did reduce housing density to 50% of what it is currently, that we've doubled the PRD size. You've heard the developer talk about that, from 10 acres to 20 acres. We've eliminated townhouses in LDR districts. We've increased open spaces by consolidating housing. One of the things that we heard throughout was people like to have single-family dwellings, so what this does is this encourages single-family dwellings. We've required the Environmental Conservation Fund participation to preserve trees, and then through this all, we've maintained consistency with the comprehensive plan. So it's a big significant change, but this is not going to eliminate PRDs. PRDs are gonna continue to come through this township. This will make them stronger, this will make them better, but it's not going to eliminate. I know there's a feeling, people say, well, why can't you just eliminate them? You can't. But this is a good PRD that will get us where we wanna go. Short of eliminating PRDs, we're not gonna eliminate PRDs.
Thank you, Paul. I'll make one final comment. If anybody knows who Stephen Covey is, it's a win-win, and I'm gonna leave it at that. So we have a motion, we have a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you, Mayor. The last item for this evening is the possible approval to purchase land located at 920 Route 910, lot and block number 836E207.
I'll make the motion to approve and ratify the agreement between the Township of Indiana and D&D Supply dated May 23rd, 2025 to purchase the real property of approximately 60 acres, identified as 920 Route 10, Cheswick, PA 15024, parcel ID 836E207, for those of you interested in details, in the amount of $250,000, subject to the receipt of a final appraisal supporting the purchase price.
And I'd like to second, but I just wanted to touch on some of the stuff that,
I'm
Chris
gonna take
brought up.
Supervisor Newman's second, but go right ahead, John.
So I know this was a piece of property that, was very controversial. This was the spot where the proposed rezoning, I got that right?
You did.
Was brought up. So this would give the township the control of this area. This would give us ability to increase the size of the park by 60 acres. Obviously, it's the pleasure of the board what we do with it. I mean, me, I don't wanna well pad up there, other things, I would need to get a lot of convincing, but this gives us the ability to control it as opposed to the third private party owning it who can bring something in front of us, kind of threaten us with litigation to make us do what they want. So I think it's strategically a good idea for the township to use these funds. I know we have some reserve funds, and from a fiscal responsibility position, this is just adding to our public assets in the real estate side of the portfolio, as opposed to just spending, our taxpayer money. We're just converting it into a form that the public can enjoy. A lot of people already sort of think this is Emerling Park, so for the township to take control of this area, I think it would make a lot of sense, and it gives us the power to decide the fate of it going forward.
And then, Dan, could you just talk briefly about how it connects with the land trust, Emerling Park, what this proposal is, and what the overall size of those three properties would potentially be?
Yeah, the parcel that was the Miller family property, they carved out maybe 12-acre piece where the well site was, off of their 200 and roughly 90 acres. So the balance of that 270 some acres is now owned by the state game lands. Just two pieces, actually. One's state game lands, the other's listed as Commonwealth of PA. But they're both Pennsylvania owned. And this property, the border of Emmerling Park between the state game lands, if you continue it straight, is the property border of this property, all the way down to what is Field View, the road that was the old McClellan that went to the underpass under the turnpike. And this property would have access to that road at the base down by the turnpike. Currently have that access. And that would encompass pretty much all of Deer Creek, from Cove Run Road down to the tunnel under the turnpike just above the refinery. And the size of Emmerling Park is roughly 56 acres. So not quite as large as this parcel. So this is a little more than the size of Emmerling Park combined. That's well over 100 acres. And that in addition to the 280 acres, it's roughly 300, and then 380, almost close to 400 acres that's now gonna be all preserved, mostly preserved land, if we acquire the property. So I'm pretty excited that we've been teased over the prospects of getting a portion of that property from others who've looked at developing the property, and this then puts that in our control, us obtaining it. So I really appreciate your approval.
But this will be one of the largest parks in the area.
Yes, it is a big, Emmerling Park has been so coveted and loved by so many, and we're adding to it so much, and it's just, I think it's a tremendous thing. I think the Parks Board's gonna have a lot to talk about. And I think that's a good thing. And as John noted, anybody who wants to pursue doing something with maybe a portion of that property, they have to discuss it with the township. The township would then be the one that would have control of it. So it would be very good.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a motion from Supervisor Jorgensen, a second from Supervisor Newman. Is there any further discussion on this motion? I would just add, Dan, nice work, and collectively the board, everybody involved,
Yeah, thank you.
nice work. You made it happen quickly and efficiently, and what an asset it's going to add to. Wow, it's amazing. So, nice work. Okay, so that's all I have to say. So we have a motion, we have a second, no further discussion. Everybody in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
Well, thank you all. I really appreciate it.
All right, can we get a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Supervisor Khan with the motion to adjourn, Supervisor Jorgensen, Jorgensen second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody. Have a nice rest of your evening.
Emily was going. Do you want to see if anybody would like to? Yes, I